What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grab me your beer and grab him a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. There's going to be a graphic there.
Nice.
I am your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do, hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do, hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from New York City, Dezmend Lee.
The crowd goes wild.
What's up, dude?
What's up, dude? Happy to be here.
Happy you're here, man.
Yeah.
Before we get too far into anything, plug everything up front. Social media, this will come out in 2 weeks. So any shows you got coming up in late December, early January, everything.
Cool. I don't have any shows,
Boom.
So that's sick. I have a podcast if you want to follow that. It's the Lovely Podcast.
It's called The Lovely?
The Lovely Podcast,
Got it. Oh, The Lovely.
Yeah, Lovely. Like
I
Dezmend Lee.
see what you did there.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
In real time, you had someone reacting probably the way you wanted someone to when you did
dude.
it.
It's so cute. That's it, dude. I do comedy.
What's the
You'll see
podcast about?
Just comedy, same.
Okay.
Just like different stories and mics and our experiences. And
Hell yeah. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. I do like to talk about love too. Like it's not about love, but it's like just kind of what do you like to do? What do you love to do?
Shit. We're all in New York because we're doing something we love to do.
Hell yeah.
Social media.
Same. Lovely Comedy. Love LEE Comedy on Instagram. That's it.
All right. Beautiful. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We've run into each other at the mics quite a bit, and I saw you. It was at a mic or at a show. I think it was at a mic a couple months ago, and I remember thinking I got to ask Dezmend if he wants to come on the podcast. And I remember we talked about this, so I'm going to tell the listeners, looking for your Instagram, and it was very difficult to find because you spell your name in a unique way on social media.
Yeah.
And so like I could not find it. And then I kind of just, I booked another guest and then just kind of forgot about it. And then we were at a podcast, we were at a mic like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And I was like talking about how like, oh, everyone in this room has been on my podcast almost. And you were like,
everyone except me, dude. Everyone except me, dude. I'm
and
a
I was like,
shitty
no,
podcast.
seriously, I just wanted to book you like a couple months ago. And then I kind of forgot.
Yes.
But you're here now. So we know each other obviously through Drew's mic. Friend of the show at the Greenwich Village comedy clubs and stuff like that. How long have you been in New York? Did you grow up here? Or?
No, I grew up in Nebraska.
Okay.
And then
You're
I
a
moved.
Cornhusker.
Yeah. Corn fed for sure, dude.
You're a giant.
Yeah. And then
Very rarely on the podcast do I have to like sit up super straight to be like, I got to make sure that the ratio's right.
And I'm kind of like
You slouch,
postured down.
too.
Yeah,
I'm like-
I am kind of poor posture. Now that I am aware of it, I have to like think about it and just roll the shoulders back, just yeah. But
so
no,
when did you get to New York?
like a little over 2 years ago now.
Okay.
Like closer to 3, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of things I want to talk about because you did send me some great stories, which we're going to get into. But the thing I always like to ask my guests is because comedy, especially stand-up comedy, is such like kind of its own lane where because we're in it, we love it, we're obsessed with it, we know all this stuff about it. But for the average person, stand-up comedy isn't really like a huge deal. There's a lot of shows we go to. It's a lot of people's first show that they've ever been to and stuff. It's a real small community, kind of.
Yeah.
So how did you even? Because you're much younger than me. So how did you even find stand up?
Dude,
Because for me, it was like Comedy Central Presents and all that stuff back in the day.
Okay.
But I know for a lot of younger comics that I have on, a lot of times it's like shorts or Spotify or TikTok clips or whatever. So how did you find it?
So I think I always kind of liked it as a kid. I grew up like watching Cat Williams and like Pimpin' Chronicles. That was like one of the best.
Pimpin'?
Yeah, it's so good, dude. And so I was always kind of like a fan, but it was more like the mainstream like guys like Kevin Hart's like first 2 or 3 specials were like.
So you were seeing it on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I don't even think it was. I think it was like cable TV at that point.
Okay. Yeah, it might have been.
And like somewhere on like HBO or something, but
So you were seeking it out though. You were like, oh, I kind of like this stand-up thing.
yeah, but not like
Because that's what I'm interested in, is always that like root. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I like stand-up, so I started doing it. I'm like, yeah, but how did you even find it? Because you talk to most people, and it's not like they're sitting down with their family watching comedies. But I found it through a cousin who I don't know how he found it, but I found it through him. And so, like, how did you even like?
I want to say,
find it?
dude, it was honestly just like my older babysitters,
Okay.
like, and they would just like put it on. And,
Okay,
like,
so that makes sense. Yeah.
And then like my brother and stuff, and I think just like my whole family like liked stand up, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like. Yeah, it wasn't something we like actively sought out or anything. It was just kind of like if it's on, we'll watch like a stand-up special. But
Yeah.
I remember the first one that I really watched that like I could not stop laughing was Seriously Funny by Kevin Hart.
Okay.
And I was like,
Is that the one where he's like, say it with your chest? Is that one?
I think so, and I think that's one where he's the teacher bit.
Okay, yeah.
Dude, that's like what
those are like some of the most iconic bits.
so good,
Yeah.
dude. And then I kind of just like was kind of a fan, but I wasn't like super invested in it by any means. Like
So when you first saw these, you weren't like, oh my God, what is this? I got to watch as much as I can.
No. It was just like I would put that in the same tier of like Step Brothers for me.
Yeah.
Like it was like, do you want to watch a stand-up special or do you want to watch Step Brothers? Like it was like I always loved comedy and just like laughing at things, but it was never like stand-up is the thing I have to watch in order to get this. So like. Right around that time, it was like Superbad was out.
Yeah.
Like Step Brothers, Knocked Up. All of those movies were just like coming
Knocked
out.
Up gets forgotten a lot of times.
Dude, that's one of the good ones.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I'm, like I said, a little older than you. So for me, it was Wedding Crashers. When Wedding Crashers came out, I think it was 2006 because I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
I remember I had to go back to when I watched it a second time. I saw jokes that I missed because I was laughing so hard the first time I saw it.
Okay. I
Which
saw
I
that as a kid too, actually.
Have yet to experience in a movie where I was like laughing so hard that I just couldn't hear a lot of the dialogue.
Yeah.
So you saw that too in the theaters?
Not in the theaters. I was like I was 10. I was 10 years old when that came out, and
so that would put me at about 7 years older than you.
And I just remember seeing a bunch of titties and be like, "This is so cool,
yeah,
dude!
That
This
opening
is sick."
scene. Yeah.
But yeah, Wedding Crashers was good for me too. I always liked comedy movies. Like honestly, like my favorites were like comedy action duos, so like Rush Hour, Shanghai Noon, like all
Shanghai Noon, another forgotten one.
That's a forgotten
one, dude.
Owen Wilson,
one.
dude.
Yeah.
Piss Shirt Ben's Bars, dude.
That's a good one.
So I just loved like comedy movies mostly, and then stand up was like in that kind of wheelhouse,
in that
like,
realm. Okay.
I really liked Def Jam comedy.
Okay.
So like I would watch. There's this one specific one where it has like Michael Blackson, Steve Harvey, Paul Mooney.
Damn.
Just like a bunch of goats like on this one thing, and they're like 15 minutes each.
Yeah.
And it's just like it was so cool to watch. I remember there's one comic, his name's Arnez J.
Okay.
You ever heard of him?
No.
Dude, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen, where he just like, he has a handicapped brother and he talks about it the whole time, and he does this like accent.
I do know who this is. I didn't know the name, but I know this bit.
Yeah, where like, motherfucker. Yeah, dude, like one of the funniest things. Yeah.
So when you're watching all this kind of stuff and things like that, because you grew up in Nebraska, do you have any inkling of like, oh, one day I'm going to move to New York and try that? Or like, how does that happen?
No, dude. So I basically stopped, or not stopped, but I always wanted to be a chef as a kid. So I like just grew up knowing that when I was like 12.
Where did that come from?
I won like a cooking competition when I was like 12.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I really want to be a chef. And so I kind of had that.
Did your parents like have you in the kitchen and stuff, like helping out, or okay?
Yeah, for sure. Like my grandma mostly.
Okay, that makes sense.
I would always go and cook with my grandma. My grandma's a phenomenal
So you found
cook.
a passion for it, and then you were like, oh, you won the competition. You're like, oh, I kind of want to do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so I did it and just was working in kitchens. And then it was right around, and this is all in Nebraska. This is right around 2019. Dave Chappelle just dropped like Sticks and Stones, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching, we watched that, and then I was talking with my chef in the kitchen in the mornings. We're just prepping, and we were just like talking about comedy. We were both like fans of it, but kind of the same thing. Like, whereas like Fairweather, like I see like the big guys, but I don't really watch like normal, you know. And so
you're not watching like every special that comes out, but like, when you see one you recognize, you're like, oh, let me check it out.
Of course,
yeah.
And we were
like
just
most
talking.
sports fans.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I was like a Fairweather's Packers fan.
Yeah, I watch when my team's in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Kind of
yeah. And so I was just talking with my chef, and I was just like, dude, this has to be like the best job in the world. Like the people that get paid to do that has to be so fucking fun, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and we just kind of like made this like, you know, light pact of like, oh, if you do an open mic, I'll do an open mic. And then
cool.
And then it kind of like fell off, and he never ended up doing a mic.
Did you do one?
I did do a mic after that though.
Where was it?
It was at the Culture House in Nebraska.
What part of Nebraska are you from? It's a big state.
Omaha.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it was just like this like mixed mic. But I had never gone.
Those are so rough to do stand-up at.
Dude,
people are doing poetry and singing breakup songs.
There was singing bowls and like, yeah.
And then you're like, hey, you guys want to have some yucks?
Yeah. But it was kind of crazy. So I had never, ever done stand-up before. And then the place that was running it was just like very like loose, and like there was like people selling shirts and shit, and just like this like weird environment. And they were like, do you want to go up first? And I was like, I've never been on a stage ever once, but yeah, sure. And then so I go up, and I have like all of this stuff written down. Like,
how much time are you doing?
I did 13 minutes.
Get the fuck out of here,
dude! And it was, and I'm
how
so
did
glad.
You do 13?
I'm so glad I don't have that tape, dude. I'm so glad that tape is lost.
Did they tell you like, oh, we'll light you at whatever or anything? Or?
I didn't even know what the light was. So someone lit me at a point. And now, in retrospect, I know now, but like he was like flashing at me, and I was like, "What the? Is he taking pictures? Is he
did you know how much you were doing, or did you just think? Because totally naive, you don't know anything that's going on. Are you like, oh, I'm just gonna go up and talk until I'm done talking?
Basically,
that's what you thought.
Yeah. And then they didn't give me any kind of like time or parameter. They were like, you could do like, I don't know, like 10 minutes or so, and I was like, sure, man, I can be up there for 10. And then I just
10 minutes is a long time,
dude. But I
for everyone listening, you think 10 minutes is not a long time? Tried doing stand up for the first time for 10 minutes.
And it was so weird because I stayed on stage for like 13 minutes.
And you went over the 10.
And I went over the time, and but I do remember getting some laughs. So it wasn't like just completely helpless, but
how did you get off stage? Were you just like, okay, that's all I've got?
I think it was a lot of like, all right, dude, I think I'm done with this.
Yeah.
You guys are done. Like we'll get going. And then the dude that was like running it was just like, hey, just so you know, I was lighting you back. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, oh, the light means that like you have like 1 or 2 minutes left, like wrap it up. And I was like, oh, I had no fucking idea.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's funny because we see Drew like do that at every single mic. He's like, I'll shine the light. You have 1 minute left. And every time I'm always like, oh yeah, there is someone in here who is like never done this before. Or it's like their second or third time and they don't know. So you were just like, I don't stop flashing your phone at me, bro.
Yeah,
like,
there was no sense of like, this is how this is going to run.
Yeah, exactly.
It was literally like, and there was like 7 people in the audience. Like it was like just a very like
and you did well
thing.
Like for your first time ever.
I think I did okay. Like a lot of it's like probably just trauma out of my mind, but like
buried deep somewhere.
Yeah, just deep in the fucking crevices of my mind. But I think I did. I remember getting some laughs.
Yeah.
So that's but I don't remember what I talked about or like.
After you got some laughs though, were you like, oh, I kind of want to keep doing this? Or
no.
what? Because you said you kind of felt the chef, your executive chef never went. You kind of fell off. So what happened after that?
Dude, it was like probably.
Because Smash Cut, you are living in New York now doing stand-up, so that's kind of a big.
It is kind of weird now, like in retrospect, thinking about it now. But like, I think I did. I I think I let a few months go by, and then I just wanted to try it again, and then I was just gonna go.
So you
watch.
had a little bit of a bug.
Yeah,
yeah. Like, I want to be around this a little bit.
I think that's what it was. I was like, oh, this is like a fun thing to do, so let me just like go see one. And then I went to this place called the Backline. Shout out the Backline.
Shout out Backline.
And they do mics every Wednesday, and I went and I saw everyone go up, and I was like, I'm probably just gonna watch. And then I saw like 3 people bomb back to back to back, and I was like, I'm gonna go put my name in the bucket.
Yeah.
I was like, I could do that, you know?
Yeah. If I'm just gonna, if they're just gonna go up and bomb, like I could do that.
Yeah. And then,
so what happens?
I think I did all right. It's so crazy because I didn't start recording until I was probably like, at least 2 months in.
So this is in 2019 when you're doing this.
No, this is a little bit later. So this is probably middle of 2020.
Okay, so are you guys still shut down from because I'm from Florida, so we shut down in 2020 in March, and then we reopened in July, so we were only down for like 3 months. It was the same in Nebraska.
Yeah,
where you were only
same.
closed for a little bit.
We were
closed I have friends
for
in New York and LA who were like, oh, we were closed for 18 months. And I'm
like,
all right,
can't relate, dude. I was like,
that's not how we do business. That's not how we do it.
Yeah, we opened up pretty quick.
Okay.
And so this is after like George Floyd and everything.
Okay.
And no, so actually I think I'm getting my timelines mixed up. So I think 2019 I had the conversation with my chef. Time goes by, and then it's after the shutdown that I try it for the first time.
Okay.
Because it was after the George Floyd protest.
Got it.
Because that's how I met
you
the
had
people.
a bunch of George Floyd material.
Yeah, dude. And that was actually like kind of weirdly enough, I think that's like the thing where I was like active in the protest, and I was like speaking and just like emotional or whatever, and just like I feel like that's where I found like some sense of like, oh, people listen when I talk.
Yeah.
Like I have like
it's an addictive drug.
Yeah.
Getting people to listen, pay attention.
Yeah, it's weird.
It can be very like intoxicating.
I know what Hitler was feeling, dude. A little bit, just a
just a scotch.
But
his command of the just kidding.
Mostly kidding. All the way kidding?
All the way kidding. But so you
this is your podcast. Remember, this is his podcast.
And my girlfriend is Jewish and listens to every episode, and I'm going to hear a whole shit about this. It's not funny, Brennan. It's not funny. Tracy, babe, I know you're listening. Just jokes.
Just kidding.
So you go to the protests, you go to the rallies.
Yeah.
You find like kind of the sense of like, oh, I like talking in front of people. You go to that first open mic, you get a couple laughs. Couple months later, you go to your next open mic.
Yeah.
You sign up. And then when does it hit where you're like, I want to do something around this or in the arts?
Dude.
Because you're already in the arts, obviously, doing the working in the kitchen and things like that. But when are you like, I want to be in front of people? Because that is a big distinction between back of house and front of house.
Very much so. I think it was...
I always tell my chefs, they go, you make so much more money. I go, you can't do what I do, baby.
Yeah. It's like, you don't know the finesse, baby. You don't know how to slide.
I go, if one person called you an idiot, you would stab them in the throat.
Yeah.
I was like, I get called an idiot on a daily basis.
Yeah, dude, chefs are fragile beings, dude.
Yeah. They're beautiful artists, but very fragile.
Yeah.
My chef, I love him to death, but it's never his fault.
Oh, yeah.
So there are certain things where I go, you didn't tell me we were at a crab cocktail. And he goes, we were out of it yesterday. I go, I didn't work yesterday. He goes, well, you need to ask. And I go, it's your kitchen. I was like, you're supposed to tell me when we're out of something.
Just hit me with that 86 list, dude.
Yeah,
just real quick, dude.
How is this not your fault?
This is your domain, dude.
How are you blaming me?
Yeah.
But then he'll make something and you're like, God damn it, man.
It's
You're
good.
so good at this.
Yeah.
So for you, what happens?
Dude, it was weird. So I was kind of in this middle ground where I was working in kitchens in Nebraska. I moved out here briefly in 2021.
Okay. For what?
For cooking.
Okay.
To work at a restaurant. And then kind of just had some drama happen. I had a buddy pass away, so I went back home. And then
when you went back home, were you like, oh, I'm going to go back home for the funeral? Or were you like, I'm moving back to Nebraska?
I was like, I'm going to go back home for the funeral. But I was also in this like ebb and flow of like my girlfriend still lives in Nebraska.
Okay.
I don't know.
Were you staying somewhere where you could just easily be like, yo, I'm out of here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just
because the leases in New York are like the thing that like keep couples together, keep people here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things where it's hard. But if you had the ability to be like, hey, listen, I'm going to like leave.
Yeah.
That's
it was like
easier.
a month-to-month thing. It was very nice. And so went back, and then just like kind of stayed back, was in this like weird, like I don't really know where I'm planted. And then just like a whole fucking year goes by basically, and then I move back here to work at a kitchen again. But in that year, I'm doing like stand up more regularly.
So you are doing stand up more regularly?
Yeah.
What kind of kitchen are you like coming here to work in, like a Michelin kitchen?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I came here to work at a restaurant in Tribeca. It's called One White Street.
How many stars?
Just one.
Let's go.
Yeah. I was on the team that won the star. That's all I have to say.
Fuck yeah, dude. You're Michelin starred, baby.
Dude, it was cool.
For the uninitiated, there's a star system done by the Michelin. What is it? It's a tour book, right?
Yeah.
And basically, 1 star is if you're in. This is how the ranking was originally forged. 1 star is if you're in the area, you should go. 2 stars is you should probably plan some sort of trip to go. 3 stars is you should plan a trip around going to that place.
Yeah.
That's how the star system was originally forged. Now it's like 1 star, you're a Jedi. 2 star, Jedi Knight. 3 star, Jedi Master.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of in this like.
That's awesome though, because you're underselling it, and as someone who's worked in restaurants, especially like high, like fine dining / steakhouses for over a decade, and in restaurants for 20 years, working at a Michelin starred restaurant is like that's your life.
Yeah, dude, and I
like you
think
come
that's
in
why I'm doing comedy now.
You come in at 7, you're there through service, you leave at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
you get 1 day off a week. Because I looked into working at a Michelin starred restaurant as a server when I first got here, but the pay is crap until like you actually make something of yourself in the restaurant. Like it's like a pool house, and you're basically a server assistant for the first 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And then once you get promoted to server, it's still because the way that the menus are constructed, it's all like, oh, everyone just pays a flat fee for 8 courses. Like you still aren't making like great money until you're like the lead. And then once you're the lead, you're making like $200,000-$300,000 a year. But it takes like 10 years to get to that spot.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's not work. I'm not doing that.
This is the first place I've ever seen that has server assistants, where it's like you have like the server has a bar back basically, and I thought that was crazy.
So the restaurant I'm at now, which I talk about on the Patreon, but I don't talk about on the main episode because sometimes I talk shit. But the restaurant I'm at now, which is one of the top 5 steakhouses in the city, has them. When I was at like Ruth Chris and Morton's, we had them. But when I worked for Outback, you just had like 3 bussers to a shift that would run around and bus tables.
Yeah.
But now, like working in these nicer restaurants for the last 10 years, it's like you got your second in command.
Like it's like it's militant.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's very much.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like everyone who's seen The Bear knows what we're talking about. But there's a lot of those aspects, even in non-Michelin starred restaurants, that are like that.
Of course.
Like at my restaurant, there's a lot of like note passing and like silent service, and like if you need plates, you don't shout, "Hey, someone give me share plates." You just do this. The waters have different signals and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun to have tables come in who are from like Nebraska or somewhere when they've never been to like a nice restaurant.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, what kind of water are we doing? And they go, oh, just tap water. And I'll be like, okay, the specials this evening are going to be, and they're like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden they see some guy come over with water. They're like, what is happening?
What's the one for sparkling? This?
Sparkling is this.
Yeah.
Still is that. Tap is that.
Nice.
We pour it out of a pitcher.
That's so sick, dude.
Yeah. So I'll just be, and I don't break character. Like I don't break like what my like spiel. So I'll just be talking, and then I'll do this. If they need share plates because they're all ordering appetizers, as I'm getting the order, I'll do this, which means share plates.
And someone's just watching you.
My
so
essay.
Sick.
Yeah. Shout out to Forhad, best essay in the
Forhad,
business.
dude, let's go, baby.
Forhad's my guy, bro.
Yeah,
whenever we work, if he's not with me, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
man?
Everyone needs that Batman to the Robin.
Dude, he's Batman, dude. I'm just Robin. I'm just taking orders. He's carrying it. So how long are you? So you moved back to New York to work at the Michelin starred restaurant.
Yeah.
What is that stress like? Like, because you guys that don't have a star when you first start there.
Yeah, no.
So is that like an insane, very regimented? Do you have like a crazy chef in the kitchen, like your executive chef?
So like, I think the Bear is sick because it is like pretty accurate to some things, but I think it does like kind of create this unrealistic expectation of like chefs are just these crazy fucking. It's like
Well, there's different levels.
Yeah.
Like as someone who played sports, I've had many different kinds of coaches.
Yeah.
Where like I've had players coaches who are cool. I've had very militant coaches who are dicks.
Yeah.
I've had the coaches who you think are cool, and then you go to them about something, and then they're assholes.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I've worked with a lot of different chefs too. Like I have some chefs I shoot the shit with, and we're friends, and then I have other chefs where it's very much like yes chef, no chef, right away chef.
Yeah.
Like those are your only 3 responses.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. It was more like my sous chef at the time. I ended up leaving because of my suit, not because of him, but just like
it was a factor.
There was a big factor, and
so he was more the militant one. Was the sous chef.
But it was crazy because he was like my boy. Like he was before he got promoted to sous chef. He was just like a line cook with us. He was like more like the senior line cook, obviously. And the way that restaurant specifically works is like it's it's basically 3 levels of like dining room. So there's the main floor, and they're small, dude. It's like probably like the size of this. Like
wow, so that's tiny.
So it's tiny. Like the kitchen would probably be like the size of like where this rug is, and then like the dining room is like there.
So you only have like 2 or 3 people per kitchen.
Per
floor.
3 cooks per floor, 2 cooks, 1 sous chef per floor. And so I was on the bottom floor, which is the a la carte menu. And then the tasting menu was on the 2nd and 3rd floor.
Okay.
And so they basically ran it off of those. So we're completely like, we all worked in the same restaurant, and we would all like meet in the basement and stuff. And like to close the restaurant, we had to all kind of come together. But like during service, like I never really dealt with him as much. So he was like my homie. And then he gets promoted to sous chef, and then he
comes down to
my floor. And he was like, it's crazy because he was cool when he wanted to be, but then turned it on. It was very like bipolar, like kind of like, damn, dude, like we were homies 2 seconds ago. Now you're telling me to like shut the fuck up, and like you're like, all right, dude, like And so
and you're good. You are obviously passionate and good at what you do. So it's not like, because I've worked with a lot of people in kitchens where they don't give a shit, and you just want to shake them and be like, then get the fuck out. If you don't, if you're just here to collect hours and get a check, go to Applebee's, bro. This is a real restaurant. Like, get out. And you're not like, you were like there to work. Like that's why you moved to the city.
Yeah. And it was so weird because it was like, I don't know. I just felt like I was outmatched, man. Like I felt like I was like. It felt like, and I think I have a different perspective now, but like in the time it was like, man, like why can't I just like be like these guys? These guys, like there was one cook specifically. He was 19 years old, running circles around every cook in that restaurant, dude.
Really?
And he was literally like 10 years younger than me, like, and he was a beast, dude. And it was just so like, I couldn't. I don't know what it was. I feel like
I've been on teams before where you're like,
dude,
that guy's different.
Yeah. You just see like a different, and then you're like, "Fuck, dude, do I
what
love
am
this?"
I doing here?
Yeah, it was basically, do I love this as much? And I think that was the big shift where it was like I had done comedy before. And
are you when you're in New York, because these restaurants are very taxing? Are you doing comedy at all?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say you wouldn't have time.
No time. And so I had this moment where I just like was like, damn, dude, if I died tomorrow, would I rather be in the kitchen or on stage, you know? And then I kind of was like on stage for sure.
Okay. So then when you left that, what was that transition like? Like did you go to get another restaurant job? Did you go, like, what'd you end up doing?
So I worked at a cafe, and
that's a big switch.
Yeah. But I was like the chef of the cafe or whatever. And so,
if you throw the restaurant you worked at on a resume, you could do whatever you want in some of these smaller kitchens.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like, so I talked with the guy, the owner, and he was like, basically, this is what I want to do, and this is kind of what I was doing already. Like, I was already like, I loved baking sourdough, I loved making bread, I love breakfast food. I've done like pop-ups and stuff where it's just brunch food. Like, I like, that's the way that I cook. I was just working at a place that didn't do that.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of worked out perfectly. I worked at this place in Bedside, and it was just like a coffee shop. There were 3 locations, so basically we had to do prep for our location and 2 other locations and just send it out. And like basically within the first like 2 weeks of me working there, he's like, I want the menu completely flipped. Like, so he was like, basically I want a breakfast sandwich on the menu because I didn't have one. And then they wanted like a new vegan option, like basically just.
And he put you in charge of that.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and just a different layout. So like before they were just doing like bagel sandwiches and like pretty much bagel sandwiches and like maybe one other kind of sandwich, just on this like kind of like shitty store-bought bread.
Yeah.
And then, so I basically just like came in, gutted that out.
And you're
just,
getting out in time to like go do stand up and stuff.
Yeah. So I'd get out, I would go in at like maybe 8 a.m. and then get out at like 4.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah. And then hit mics.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was kind of cool though. Like that was my first time
there
ever
at the cafe?
No.
Okay.
That was my first time ever like putting like my menu on something.
That's
like my
awesome.
stamp. And so it was kind of cool. Like, I
Did
basically
he put
like,
created by at the bottom of the menu?
No, but I did because it was just a chalkboard menu.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, but it was kind of cool. I got to name everything and just I did
That's a big deal.
yeah, it was cool, and it's kind of I haven't been back to the cafe, but
Did you leave on good terms?
nah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this is me coming to like complete honesty. Like, I don't think there's ever been an issue with the place that I've worked at. It's always been me as like a cook and my kind of like just ego shit. Like it's very. I feel like
I understand. I get that all the time as a server.
Yeah, I respond
I'm the
really
fucking
well.
Trainer here, like I know what I'm doing. Let me do it.
Yeah,
And sometimes, especially higher ups, will push back on that a lot.
dude. Yeah, and it's I know that I respond well to like the patient, gentle approach where it's just like, hey, this isn't how we want it, and it's not personal. It's just like, this isn't how we want it. This is how we want it. Do it that way. That's so easy for me, but it then becomes an issue where it's like, this is wrong. Why is it wrong? And you're like, but let's not focus on that, like, because that doesn't really fix it. That just makes me feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
And so I felt
I've had people like that in my life.
that sucks.
What are you,
dude.
stupid? And you're like, that's not helpful at
At
all.
all, dude, at all. And it's just like, so I don't know, man. I feel like that was a really cool experience at the cafe. I got to do like I started a whole like sourdough program there, and so I just like would bake like 10 loaves a day in this small tiny like oven that's like electric oven, and just like I was just thugging it out.
Doing it.
Yeah, it was cool.
So when you were, so now you're in New York now, and I wanted to ask, because this is something that I've noticed with a lot of people who move to New York for various reasons and then get into comedy. Are you also like auditioning for like acting gigs and doing all that stuff? Or are you just focused on comedy?
Just focus on comedy. I did do one background thing just because a comic was just like, hey, this is super easy. Just fill this out and try it.
Okay.
And so I did do one background thing, but I haven't really like retouched that since.
Yeah. I've had a couple of people reach out and be like, you should try acting. And I'm like, I'm a comic. Like, even when I did the one-man show, I joke about it, but like I did it on a Word document. And then I sent it to one of my best friends, Joe, shout out Joe Dorville, who I co-host my sports podcast with. And he was like, dude, this isn't even a script. Like, it's not even in the right format. And I go, I don't know what a script format looks like.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking comic, dude.
Yeah, of course, dude.
And that's why I wanted to ask, because there's so many people that we meet who are like, oh, I'm actually an actor, or I'm actually this, and there's a small part of me that's like, well, then get the fuck out of my thing, dude.
Yeah.
We've got enough people. People. So let's talk about it. Growing up in Nebraska, did you? Are your parents together?
No.
Okay.
That's trauma, baby.
So when did you play sports growing up there? Because Nebraska,
no.
I assume, is like a big football
huge
state.
football state.
Okay.
I don't even know how the game of football works, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to ask, because working in the kitchen, it takes a special kind of person. And you said since you were 12, you kind of knew you wanted to do that. So what were you doing like in middle school and high school, like as far as extracurriculars?
Dude, honestly, nothing.
Okay.
Like, it's crazy. The only sport I ever tried a little bit was boxing, and I did boxing in 6th grade from for like maybe less than a year, but like probably like 10 months maybe.
Yeah.
And I loved it. But then so that was this is kind of a come around, but I lived in Iowa, and then we moved to Nebraska when I was like 11.
Okay.
And so that was in Iowa, but then we moved to Nebraska, so I stopped, and then I basically just became like the stoner kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very early on. I was like smoking weed
when
I was
did you
like
first
12.
start smoking weed?
Like
12?
12, 13. Yeah.
You'll see me writing stuff.
Is this for a roast, dude? What do you?
So you're 12 years old. How do you find? We don't out anybody like in your family.
Oh, it's fine.
Like that,
It's definitely my mom, dude. Shout out to my mom, dude.
Shout.
She just, I don't know. I guess her mindset was like, I'd rather you do it here than out there. And
cool mom. We've all seen Mean Girls. We know how it works.
It's a cool mom, but like in retrospect, I'm like, dude, that sucks. I wish I would have just done sports, bro.
Yeah.
I wish I would have.
Well, that's the thing is because like everyone I have on, they've always not everyone, but a lot of people have something that they're doing in high school because high school is only from like 7:30 in the morning until like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's a lot of time between 3 o'clock and 10 o'clock when you go to bed. So you got to fill it with something. For me, it was football. For other people, it's sports. For other people, it's academics. For you, it was like just getting stoned and hanging out.
It was literally weed, Call of Duty, jerking off.
Yeah.
It was like
the trifecta.
The trifecta, dude.
So when did you start drinking then?
Still the same age, probably like 13, 14.
Okay, so you were in a situation where you were like, oh, well, if I'm going to do this stuff, I'm just doing it at home?
Yeah, for the most part. And then it became like, my mom's whole thing when I was a kid was like, you can do it on the weekends, you know? And then it was like, well, that doesn't fucking matter to me at all. And so I basically was just like, no, I'm going to smoke during the week and I'm just going to be sneaky about it.
Yeah.
And so like that basically just was my whole reality from like, I think I tried weed for the first time when I was 12, but then 13, I was like, this is.
You were in it.
Yeah.
So, God, so many questions. When... Like, are you a popular kid or do you not have a ton of friends? Because not playing sports, not doing extracurriculars can kind of be an outcast kind of a life.
Yeah.
Because so many other kids are doing that. Or did you have like your group of stoner friends or like, how did that work? How did the dynamic work?
I would say I wasn't a popular kid by any means. I don't think I wasn't bullied or anything. I was just kind of like I was the class clown. So I feel like I had friends because I was funny.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. Yeah, I could give a fuck about school and like I was like definitely like, why are we learning this? Like,
yeah,
you were
that kid.
I was definitely like the authority kid. Like I had a problem with authority.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, going back to what you said about the chefs and stuff like that. Like, if you give me constructive criticism, that's one thing. But if you're just going to be a dick because you're an authority figure, I won't do that. So that's rooted in growing up.
Yeah, and I was just like extreme little brother syndrome. Like my older brother just like was. I took after him. He was like always like a stoner kind of kid and like could give a fuck about school. And so like I saw him, thought he was cool, and then kind of mimicked that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I don't even know, man. I guess all my friends were band kids.
Okay.
I didn't play an instrument, but like in the mornings we'd hang out in the hallway, and those were all my friends. So like all my friends were like. Yeah, like really good, like honor roll students and everything. But I was definitely just like the kind of like odd man, wear a hoodie, smoke weed. Yeah.
Did you ever go to school stoned in high school?
All the time, dude.
Really?
Yeah, all the time.
How does that work? Because I'm curious, because I didn't start drinking until like my senior year, like towards the end of my senior year. And then in college, obviously, I'm living on campus. Like I can do whatever I want because I'm like by myself.
Yeah.
And I probably could have gotten away with it in high school, but I never did. But I've had people come, like, are you getting up extra early before school just so you can smoke?
Nah, I would say that's so crazy. I never got up early, but I still found a way to smoke. So I would like.
That's what I'm saying. Is like it seems like it would be like an extra task to be like.
My mama was left before me because she drove to work, and then I just took the school bus.
Yeah.
So that was like super easy. Like I would. Just,
so you would just get up and smoke.
Our
like,
whole house smelled like weed anyway, so
it
wasn't like who just smoked weed. It was like. No, literally when you walk in, like my mom smoked a ton of weed, so it's just like the house already smelled like weed, so I didn't really have to hide like a smell or anything.
Yeah.
It was funny. She smoked cigarettes too, but I'm like, mom, she's a good mom now. She's a good mom. Mom, you're a good mom. But
we love you.
We love you, dude. But she I remember she caught me smoking cigarettes once, and that was like
that's a no-no.
That was
because that's bad.
That was a no-no, but she like there was no. I didn't really get punished for it, but I just remember like that the reason I brought that up was like the smell thing was like our house smelled so much like weed that cigarettes was like the smell that was like
very distinct.
Yeah.
No,
she was
I
like,
understand
"Are you smoking cigarettes up there?" And I literally just like opened my door and I was like, "Yes." She's like, "Don't." Stop, dude.
Stop. That's gonna get tar on the walls, dude. And that's an interesting thing because like I'm And it's similar, like my whole family is like big drinkers and they like to have a good time and stuff. But it is funny when you start laying things out like on paper. Like sometimes I'll talk to my girlfriend and I'll be like, yeah, doesn't your family do this? And she's like, no. And I'm like, they were good. It was a good family. Like we were okay.
Yeah.
Like
It's like they were still loving the house.
yeah,
Just,
don't call somebody. Like we're all right. So for you getting through high school, was that like, was it like an experience? Because at 12, so even before high school, you knew you wanted to cook. So was high school kind of like a burden where you're like, and you already said like, why are we learning this, all this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So did you get good grades or did you even try? Or were you kind of like, I have to be here because I have to be here? Like what was your motivation for even going?
I think it was like, it was one of those like, I have to be here. I was like, I don't want to get like truancy and shit.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like, I'm not going to try hard. And then the only classes I liked were like the work with your hands kind of classes.
Yeah.
So like wood shop, I loved. I was always stoked to go to wood shop. Welding. I had an auto body class my senior year.
This is Nebraska fucking.
Yeah, dude. I fucking loved like the work with your hands kind of classes.
Yeah.
Home ec, like the cooking class or whatever.
Yeah.
And
so how were you doing in like math and science and stuff like that?
I think I was like probably like a C student.
Okay,
man.
so you were surviving.
Yeah, I was surviving.
You're not like oh, I just because I've been rewatching Friday Night Lights and it blows my mind because they're just like not at school for most of the show.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, when I played high school football, like if you missed more than 2 classes, especially on game day, you didn't play. Like that was a state rule. So I'm watching the show and I'm like, the reason I bring it up is because I'm thinking like, yeah, I guess your parents can't make you go. Like they can't physically like watch you and the teachers can't touch you. So if you didn't want to be there, you could just be like, all right, I'm out, bye, and just walk out.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking you is because like what was your motivation for like staying? You're just stoned and you're like, whatever, we're here.
Yeah, it was more just like we're here. And then like, I would say I don't think I started smoking like before school until like junior year really heavy. And I think, but like definitely
Did you ever, real quick sidebar. Were you ever in a class, like an English class or a history class or something, just stoned, and then you had like an idea that you thought was great that you wanted to share with the class? Did you ever do that? Or they were like talking about something, and you were like, actually, I think the Civil War is about, you know what I mean? Just like that stone. Because we have a lot of friends that are stoners, and like the thoughts sometimes that come out, you're like, no, like what?
Dude, I do remember it was, I want to say first day, second semester, freshman year. It was a new class, and so she's doing like orientation and just like, this is what we're gonna be learning.
All that,
yeah. And so I just like put my hand up in the air. I was like, do you allow wheat thins in class? And dude, just crushed the room, dude. Just crushed the room, dude. And she,
does she? Did she?
No, she was like, I don't even remember, but I remember I got kicked out like pretty quickly after that.
Really?
Because I just kept on asking dumb. I was like, how about Triscuits, dude? And like just like kept on adding to it.
Yeah.
And then
the art of the joke, man. Just keep pushing.
Dude, I remember I got kicked out of that class like every day. And then towards the end, she saw there were certain things that I liked. So I did like English a little bit.
Yeah.
I liked reading. I loved like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
And so we're reading that, and she could tell that I was like invested. And then she saw that I was like reading a series on my own. So she was like, obviously you like reading and stuff. It's just like
you're just kind of
you're just kind of an asshole kid. And then she kind of like took me under her wing, and it was
that's cool. So it went from like it went from like enemies to like she like was kind of like helping you out.
Yeah, she literally was like, this is the worst kid, like for probably half the year, and then the next half she was like,
damn, that's
like
awesome.
Her kid. Yeah.
So when you graduate high school, is that when you decided to move to New York that first time?
No. So that was
what year did you graduate?
2014.
Okay.
So I stayed in Nebraska until like 2021.
Yeah.
That's when I moved. So
okay, that's when you moved the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you doing in Nebraska? Did you go to college, or are you just like, nah, I'm done with all this? Did you go to like a culinary institute or something?
Yeah. So there's a really good culinary. It's a community college, but they actually have like one of the best. At the time, it was like number 2 rated like culinary school in the U.S.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was like right behind what is it, ACU?
Okay.
So we were like, it was like, oh, I have to go here. Like that makes sense. And then kind of just like same stuff. I was like, why are we learning some of this stuff? This is stupid. I was already working in kitchens at that time. So like, and at a like really nice place in Nebraska, it was like kind of a big deal. It was like the only wood-fired pizzeria, and it was like very like farm to table. Like we got like fresh produce and stuff.
Damn, you're always finding these kitchens.
Yeah, it was a really sick kitchen. Like I was so grateful. Like I basically went from my first job was at the zoo as a busboy, and then a dishwasher
At the like at the zoo like at the food
the
court?
restaurant. Yeah. Which like this is just another thing, but like Nebraska has like the second biggest zoo in the nation, or it's like rated number 1 maybe in the
behind
nation.
San Diego.
Yeah, I think we compete with like San Diego every year.
Because San Diego is like the zoo.
Yeah,
I remember as a kid loving animals and being like, I gotta go to the San Diego Zoo.
Yeah,
that's like the spot. So you guys are right there with them.
Yeah, and I think I honestly think like I looked it up recently, and Omaha's number 1.
So
right
they
now.
go back and forth like switching spots.
Yeah,
but Omaha's number 1 right now.
Omaha's number 1 right
Let's
now.
go.
Let's go. Henry Dorley Zoo. Shout out.
So you're working there, and it's probably crazy busy like all the time.
Yeah, it was just like a wild like it wasn't too bad because I was just busing, so it was just
How old
like,
are you at this time? Like 16?
Yeah, 16.
Okay. So just stoned out of your mind, just busting tables.
Yeah, dude.
I know.
Actually,
I know how you guys work.
Dude, I went through a phase though when
I know how the support staff gets down.
Yeah.
Shout out to Forhad.
Yo, shout out to Fora. But I did go through a phase in high school where I completely cold turkey stopped smoking weed.
Why?
Because I had a fucking freak out, dude.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good party story. So I went to a party with my friends, and I was like, mind you, I'm like,
how old are you? Let's talk about it.
17.
Okay, so junior.
Yeah, junior. And it
and
was
at this point you're smoking before school. You like kind of got a handle on your weed.
Yeah. It was like making edibles and stuff. Just like kind of like.
Of course you are.
Yeah. I was.
This guy's in the kitchen.
I was the guy. And my friend had a party, and it was the first party of like my high school. I was like, oh, I'm so excited! Like someone invited me to a party, and so. But in retrospect, I think I was kind of a loser, dude. I think I was kind of a loser.
Now that we're talking about it.
Yeah, it was like my first party, dude. But I remember being super stoked about it, and then I go to this party, and it was actually so funny. I had just gotten into a fight with this girl at school, not a fist fight, just like a verbal thing.
Was it a romantic thing or?
No. It was.
No, you're like literally this bitch. I had to put her in her place.
Dude, it was crazy. I don't even remember what the fight was, but I remember like.
What is it? The Capulets and the what's the other name? Romeo and Juliet, the two families.
Oh, dude,
Capulets and the. God damn, this can bother me. Anyway, keep going.
No,
it'll click.
It was I had gotten into a fight with this girl, and she was also in the friend group that was like invited to that party, and so they were like, "Hey, dude, this is the party. She's gonna be there. Just like try and be cool."
Yeah.
And so
do you remember what the fight was about?
I don't remember, but I remember calling her a bitch, and that was the first time.
Like in the halls, like in front of everybody.
Yeah, it was actually in the class.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was right in front of the teacher, and she like gave me like I got
kicked you out.
Yeah.
You're like, I know where to go.
Yeah. But I was crazy because I'd never really crossed that line. I was like, yo, you're a fucking bitch, dude. Like, and I'd never said that to someone and so.
I remember when I first started pulling out like hard curse words.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fuck you. And I was like,
I said that, dude. Yeah.
Say it with your chest.
And she, so we go to this party, and then we smooth it over. I was like, we're talking to the party. I was like, hey, I'm sorry about that. We're cool now. And so it was fine.
Drinking at the party?
Drinking, but not like overly. But then this is at the start of the party, right? She pulls out this bong that's like fucking this high, dude. Like out of nowhere. Like I didn't see it, and then she's ripping. I was like, where the fuck did that come from? And then they passed it to me, and I don't know what happened, dude, where I hit it so hard that I just like was just like stuck in my chair. And I remember being like so paranoid in my head that everyone was like laughing at me. And I in retrospect, I think they were like there was.
Yeah, you were stuck in your chair.
Yeah, that girl and then another and this like gay kid were like laughing at me because I was like, and I was like chubby at this time. I was like a big kid, so I was like very like just like self-conscious in my body and just like didn't like the way my face looked. And I was just like, and I went out to my friend. I was like, yo, Ryan, I gotta go home, dude. Like my mom's like calling me. I like made up an excuse. And then I drove home, and I was like so fucking high, dude, that I like the street lights were coming at me, and I was just like, I literally was like repeating in myself. I was like, this is my zone. I'm safe. This is my zone. I'm safe. And I just like.
So you're saying like a mantra to try and get home.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just remember like driving home and then I was like, I'm never smoking weed again. And then.
Damn. So you just had this huge freak out of this party.
Yeah.
No one else knew what was going on though. You just kind of got up and you're like, hey, I got to go home. My mom's calling me.
Literally. I
just
remember.
All up here.
Yeah. I talked to my friend the next day. He was like, why did you like scream at me when you left? And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, you yelled at me, yo, I gotta get out of here. And I was like,
so they did know.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't even know, bro. I was just like super high, dude. So
I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, dude.
My mom's calling.
Dude, it was so bad. And then
then you didn't smoke for how long?
Probably until I was like almost 20. So
damn, so you didn't smoke for like 3 years after
this. I was like 17 to 20.
Were you scared or were you just like, this isn't for me or like what? Because there's a difference. Like I've done a lot of different drugs and I've drank a lot of alcohol and like I don't smoke weed. Obviously now because I'm sober, but before I was like if there was weed at a party, I would just say no. And it was because I knew it made me super paranoid. So it was less of like I don't want to get in trouble or anything like I wasn't scared of it. I was just like I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Okay, yeah.
So for you, was it like I don't know what's going to happen or was it just kind of like I'm just done with that?
I think it was I'm just done with that and I was like it was so weird, man. Like I remember I stopped smoking weed and I didn't really tell anyone. And then I remember like I got a fever, dude. I got a fever like around that same time, like probably a week after smoking. And I remember my mom being like, "Yo, are you on drugs?" And I was like, "No, I think like I don't know what's going on." And I was like just super sad and like just like fucking just so
going through,
not
like,
myself.
Yeah,
a little bit, but like they say there's nothing in it, but I think it was just like a mental thing.
Yeah, well, and it can fuck up your brain chemistry too. Like if you're smoking every day, and that's what you're used to, then it's just it could not even be like an actual physical chemistry thing. It could just be you being like, I don't feel like I don't feel like how I normally feel.
Yeah,
and that can mess with you for sure. I always tell people when you get sober, especially from drinking, obviously those withdrawals are a little more intense.
Yeah.
But it's like that feeling of like being somewhere and everyone's like having a great time that can really fuck with a lot of people where you're like, I want to do that. Like I miss that.
Yeah.
So for you get this fever, you get sick. And then what happens with your friends? Like when you're hanging out and stuff, are you just like, no, I'm done or?
Yeah. They were so cool. That was like the first real realization of like people hang out with you for reasons.
Yeah.
That was my it was like, oh, this friend doesn't want to be around because I'm not smoking anymore. That's a weird thing. Like,
yeah.
And so, just like there were a few friends that just kind of fell off but like everyone else was like pretty cool about it. Like,
So how did your routine change from like a day-to-day basis? Because this is 3 years we're talking about. Like, are you doing better in school? Or are you just more honed in on Call of Duty? Like, are you just jerking off a lot more? Like, what changes?
I guess I don't know, man. Like, I don't think I think I got a girlfriend around that time too.
Okay.
That was like
that's a change, baby.
Yeah, I was like out there. But
yeah.
And so I think that was it, dude. I think I just like
you found something else to occupy your time.
Maybe, yeah. And it's so crazy because I haven't talked about any of this stuff for fucking years, man.
Yeah.
But it is.
Well, that's what the show's about, baby.
Yeah, true. But it is interesting. I did just like stop cold turkey, and it was like fine. And I was just like, I've just had enough of this, and I'm done.
Yeah.
And
so when did you start smoking again? You said 20?
Yeah, it was so around 20, and then I tried it again, dabbled, stopped, and then I would say around like 22 was when I started smoking like every day again.
Okay, so what happens at 20 where you're like, I'm going to try this again? Were you kind of like, okay, I haven't smoked in a long time, like I just want to try it again?
Yeah.
Or were you like what? Like, is there a moment where you're like, I can't fucking handle this, like I need to go smoke? Like,
no, I don't
happened?
think there was like a anything that like drove me to it. I think I was just like, oh, it's been a while, like it's probably fine. Like,
okay. It's
probably fine, dude. Like it's not gonna like kill me, you know.
That's the name of the episode. It's probably fine.
That's fire.
So I wanted to talk to you because you sent me a bunch of these stories.
Yeah.
So what's the toilet blackouts? What's that about?
Oh, dude.
Because you said you sent me a story of like toilet blackout stories, and I'm like, how is there more than one? What is this? Is this a trend of some kind?
There's definitely two of them. So 16th birthday, dude. 16th birthday. My brother gets like a whole ounce. We fucking go up to we basically just hotbox this room. Like where everyone has a blunt and there's like probably 8 of us in the circle and we're passing blunts, but we all have one.
Yeah.
So I get so incredibly high, and we're drinking and stuff, and so I was so fucked up. I basically got destroyed within the first like 2 hours of the party, and then
parents home, not home.
I think my mom was home.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think maybe she left. She used to go like out of town a lot, so I think she was gone. But
you're just getting ripped,
dude, just ripped. And it was I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but like tunnel vision, like where it creeps.
Yeah.
And so we were listening to like really loud music. I think it was like Rick Ross at the time, and it was just like bass, and it was just, yeah, it was like. And I just remember my vision just like creeping in and out. I was like, I think I'm gonna faint. I don't know what's happening. I think I'm just really high and drunk. And then I go to like somewhere to like just get out of it, and then I go to the toilet. I start taking a shit, and then I black out on the toilet. And then my brother literally like wakes me up like, dude, you're on the toilet. What are you doing right now? And I was just like, I'm so fucked up. I don't know. And then so he like drags me to my bed.
Pants down or pants up at this point?
I think pants were down, dude. I think pants were down. I think
brother.
dick out, pants down.
That's a
dude.
good brother.
Yeah. And then I fucking
Pulls your pants up and was like, get the fuck, let's go, man.
But it was crazy because I puked and rallied, dude. Like
did you?
Yeah. I fucking.
Did you end up throwing up too?
I think so. I was like in my room. My brother put like a trash can by my bed, and I threw up, and then I like hung out for the rest of the night.
Came out of it. Yeah. That's the thing. Throwing up, it's like a workout. Like it gets because you're using muscles that you normally don't use, so it gets your endorphins going. It's like going to the gym. People laugh at me all the time when I say this, but my brother, who is a doctor, he's a chemical engineer. He has a PhD and also drinks with like fucking the best of them. He's always like, yeah. The puke and rally, it's not like a mythical thing. Like, it's because you're releasing endorphins, because you're exerting yourself in such a violent way.
Wild.
It's like doing a wind sprint or something, because you literally, to throw up, you exert like a lot of energy.
Dude, it does hurt. Like,
it's painful. Yeah. So your body, your brain will naturally release endorphins, just like it would if you were at the gym doing an hour workout.
Wow.
Which is where the rally comes from.
Huh.
So you throw up, your endorphins
There's a
get
science
going.
to this, dude.
There
Yeah,
is,
that's
baby.
sick, dude.
People just think like, oh, you just get it out of your system. It's like, no, your body's like kicking into gear.
Yeah.
So then,
Are you a pull the trigger guy? Do you go finger in the?
Oh no, I don't have to.
Oh, okay.
I got so good, and I have a bit about this where I'm like, yeah, now I got so good at puking and rallying. Now at 36, if I eat too much pizza, I'll throw up. My girlfriend's like, oh my God, are you okay? Do we need to go to the hospital? And I'm like, puke and rally.
Oh,
and she's like, you're bulimic.
It's very funny. Yeah.
But yeah, I got so used to. So my older sister, God love her, she's the one who taught it to me. I remember, so I started drinking in like my senior year, and then around like 22 when I stopped playing football, my life was kind of falling apart. I remember I came home for my 22nd birthday, and we were at her apartment, and I remember I was just getting way too drunk and like trying to start fights with her boyfriend at the time's friends, and like I was slamming my head into the wall because that was like my party trick. I'd get hammered and like bang my head into the wall because I played football and nothing could hurt me. And I remember I was like sick, and she goes, just go throw up. She goes, trust me, you'll feel better. And the only times before that when I would throw up, it's because of my anxiety or if I drank too much, but like my body would tell me to throw up. This was the first time where I was like, oh, I'll go make myself throw up. And I just looked at the toilet and just started throwing up. And now like I can just on the drop, I could throw up right now if I wanted to. Like, I could just stand here, hands at my side. Like it became like a talent almost of mine.
Yeah.
So for you, you said there was multiple stories. So when does it happen again that you black out on the toilet?
Next time I am probably 22, maybe 21.
5 years later.
5 years later. And
not again.
Yeah, dude. And this time I don't even remember where we went or what happened. I just remember I got so belligerently drunk.
This was just drinking.
This is just drinking, and my girlfriend at the time, or it was like a weird situation.
So you're still in Nebraska, 22.
Yeah, still in Nebraska.
How old were you when you moved to New York?
20.
To stay this time.
25.
Okay.
Or no, 26.
Okay.
26. And so this is my girlfriend. She was not my girlfriend. She was my ex, but we were living in the same situation.
Is this the one that you, when you came back for the funeral, you ended up like staying with?
No, this is different. Ex.
Okay,
This is ex before that.
She was out there.
Dude.
So you've broken up, but you're living together.
Broken up and living together. My fault. Super dumb on me. but not a healthy situation.
Yeah, not at all. I say it all the time. Me and my ex were on amicable terms. The one I moved to New York with, the greatest gift other than like her motivating me to move to New York, because like we kind of motivated each other. Other than that was the fact that when we broke up, she was like, listen, I'll figure out the rent on my own, because we're in a New York lease for like 8 more months.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she was like, I'll figure it out. Like, if you want to move out, move out. And I was, at the time, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. But in retrospect, that was the best thing that could have happened, because that would have been a disaster.
Dude, it was. Yeah,
I am a fucking anxious, bipolar mess.
Yeah.
And my sobriety was at stake. All this stuff was at stake. So good on her for looking out. You, on the other hand, are like, I'm just going to chill right here.
Dude, literally signed a lease, broke up a month later. So 11 months of like, all right, we're in this situation together.
Did you talk about it? Were you like, I guess we're just going to be roommates?
Yeah, but
or did you just like not like break up and just be like, I guess we live together?
It was kind of like, I guess we live together.
You just didn't have like an adult conversation.
Yeah, not at all,
it?
dude. I was
you didn't set ground rules or anything.
No, we tried to set ground rules, but then it was like, we're still sleeping together. We're not sleeping together.
Yeah,
it was like
that's what I'm talking about.
A lot of just like unhealthy toxicity. But she.
So where you don't remember where you weren't at home though?
I wasn't at home, and she was. I get super fucked up, and then I come home. And I fucking throw up all over the bathroom. I go to take a shit, dude, and then I'm a shitter. I shit when I throw up. I shit when I drink, dude. And so I'm on the toilet, and then I literally just wake up the next day, and my girlfriend was like, or my ex at the time was like, you threw up everywhere. I cleaned you up and I put you in bed. She was like, basically like,
you passed out on the toilet again.
Yeah, passed out on the toilet, like
I've
completely
been doing
on the
this
toilet.
show for years.
Yeah,
years. I've had crazy stories on people drinking at like 12, going to rehab at like 17. I've heard never in my years of doing this show have I heard of someone who blacks out shitting on the toilet.
Dude, twice in my life. Yeah. And the second time was crazy.
Out, like throwing up and you pass out on the porcelain. It's cold. Like I've had that. I've done that.
Yeah.
But never taking a shit.
Dude, taking a shit. And that's always been a move of mine. Like anytime I have a stomach bug or anything, I'm always like a shit and a throw. So I'll be on the toilet with a fucking bucket under. Yeah. Which is like the worst. But that's just how I
go
roll,
into the shower.
Oh, really?
A lot of times, a lot of places I've lived, you can be sitting on the toilet but still get into the shower.
Oh, okay, nice.
So it's like one of those things. Or you just trash bag it. Like you said, you just pull the bathroom trash can up.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
Like, I'll switch out the plastic bag. It's fine.
Yeah, dude.
But I remember, this is graphic. I'm sorry for the listeners, but I remember, this has nothing to do with drinking, but one time in high school I got food poisoning. And I remember going to the nurse's office. And like that unprovoked violent, because this is way before I knew how to throw up, that unprovoked violent throwing up when you have food poisoning.
Yeah.
And then I just shit my pants everywhere.
Fuck, dude. Not at high school, too.
In high school, we had a game. It was game day.
Fuck.
And I remember I was throwing up and I was like diarrheaing down my leg.
Oh, no, dude.
And I had to like tuck my jeans into my socks. And then walk to my locker to get my workout shorts to change.
Fuck, dude. Did anyone find out, though?
No one. Oh, I mean, I was a class clown, too, so I told everybody because it was hilarious.
Oh, okay.
That was like the next day I think the next day we had a game because I think we did like our pregame whatever, like as a team. We always did it the day before. So we did it at like a Cece's Pizza, and that's how I got sick.
Oh, okay.
And I remember the next day because it was a 24-hour bug. So like I felt like shit. My dad ended up picking me up. It was a disaster. And then the next day I was like, okay. And I ended up playing in the game.
Oh, okay.
But it was, dude, that whole like you're talking about, like that's my biggest fear. Like if I'm genuinely sick and not just making myself throw up, I'm like, do not poop your pants.
Oh, dude, yeah. Pooping the pants. God, when's the last time I shit? I shit myself 14 years old on a camping trip.
Really?
Yeah. For school camping trip. No one found out though, and I was like, it was crazy though. We were, I don't know. It's a long story, but long story short, we're supposed to do like volunteer work for like ROTC.
Yeah.
And so we're like basically shoveling dirt into this like these like I don't even know like you ever go to a pool and they have like landscaping things?
Yeah,
and they have
yeah.
the rocks and shit on the
Yeah.
side. So we're putting dirt in so that they could put it on rocks later.
Got it. Yeah. So you're just doing landscaping work.
Yeah, just like fucking super dense. And it's not that I like ate anything. I think I just like had to shit really bad. But the bathrooms at the pool weren't working. The water was turned off. So they're like basically every hour a truck is gonna come up and pick you guys up to take you all the way to the like a mile away to where
Just
like the
couldn't make
bathrooms
it.
are. And I missed the truck, and I remember being like, oh, I'm gonna shit myself. And then I just slowly shit myself all day. All fucking day, dude, just bacon in there. And I remember like I was close enough away from people where like no one could like smell me, but I
Yeah.
could just like it reeked. And then we get back to the camp, and then we take a fucking photo. They're like, all right, everyone, like we're gonna break off for the night, but first let's get like a group photo of all the volunteers. So there's a picture of me just sitting like kneeling down, just like pants full of shit next to everybody. And it's
disgusting.
Dude, it was so bad because like, and it was crazy because no one like out like dude, it had to have smelled, but
No
like
one's. That's a weird thing I've noticed with people. If it's so bad, no, like if it's bad enough, like if you like rip a fart, like especially if you're with someone, like my girlfriend will get she'll be like, oh my God, did you fart? But like if I was genuinely like because that's a distress situation.
yeah.
Then like strangers, I don't think will say anything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if I get on the subway and someone around me like was unhoused and they obviously stink, I'm not gonna be like, yo, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah,
You
it smells
stink.
bad. Yeah.
I'm just like, they're going through something. I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah.
And I think I would do that for a friend too. Like I do that at the restaurant all the time. We have tables that come in that smell or like they're like, I have one regular who's a burn victim, and it's like I don't stare. I'm just like, yo, what's up, dude? And I like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's. So I think that falls into the realm of like distress, where
Just like
everyone's
polite.
We're gonna
Yeah.
leave it alone.
We
Yeah.
can tell something's off, but we're
Yeah.
not gonna say anything.
This isn't someone ripped a fart. This is like someone that had a medical issue.
Yeah.
We're not gonna say anything.
And I don't remember how no one found out, but I remember going to the showers and just like fucking dude. And I just remember leaving my boxers there just full of turd, dude. And it
Did
was
you throw them away?
yeah, I had to throw
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. But it was so bad.
God, you're like a shit bandit.
Dude, shit ban. This is actually kind of crazy. I was always a shitter in my family. Like
Between blacking out on the toilet,
Yeah.
shitting your pants.
dude, I was we used to go to like Chinese buffets all the time, and my famous move was to be like, I don't feel so good, and then I would go take a shit and then go and get dessert. Every time, dude. And I'm talking like a weekly basis. As a family, we would go like it was like
That was your move.
That was my move every week, dude.
the captain of shit.
Just shit, dude.
I wanted to ask you. You had sent me the story about being arrested. When did that happen?
That was in New York.
Okay.
So that was like probably 6 months ago, maybe.
Okay. So you got full on arrested.
Full on arrested. Never been in trouble in my life with the law ever. But so let's say probably 9 months ago, I hopped the Styles. Cops stopped me and they give me a ticket. They're like, and when I'm talking to them, they were like kind of cool about it. They were like, listen, if you would have just said something to us, we would have let you in. Like,
Yeah.
just like we were people too. Like they kind of got to me in that way where I was like, maybe they're like not too bad. And so I remember that story of like, they would probably let me in. So it's like, do you know Eastville?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hit the late night at Eastville, hang out after the mic. It's like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like so excited to go home.
I always forget that they have a late mic there.
Yeah. So it's like 4:30. I go to Atlantic Barclays and I walk down the station and I see my phone literally dies on my way down there. And I see the cops in the station. I was like, hey, yo, you guys can see my phone just died. Can you guys just let me through? And then she goes, go ask the booth lady. And I was like, okay. So I saw the cops. I addressed the cops on the other side. She told me to go ask the booth lady. So I turn around to the booth lady and I go, hey, my phone's dead. And I didn't go up to her. I was like still at the turnstile, but I was like, hey, and I just like showed her my phone. I was like, hey, my phone's dead. Can you let me through? And then she goes like this. She gives me this motion.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so I figured that means she's like gonna open the thing. She resonates, whatever. And so I go and I hit it, and I was like, oh, are you gonna open it? And so I like look back and I was like, and then she's like, this. And so I was like, oh, she just wants me to hop it then.
Yeah.
So, and mind you, I know the cops are on the other side because I just spoke to them.
Yeah.
I hop it, and then the dude cop like stops me immediately. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, no, fuck you. And I said it like this, and I was like, no, fuck you. She just told me to. She's like, you didn't see that? And it was like one of those like weird where
You said fuck you?
Yeah, I didn't. I was like, because I get like amp when
we talked about it with authority.
Yeah, I get amp like when I feel like I'm being wronged.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, fuck you. Look, she just told me. And then he's like, I didn't see anything, and like step off to the side, and then like they start like
damn, man.
Dude. And so I talked to the lady cop, and I was like, ma'am, I just talked to you. Why the fuck would I hop the turnstiles?
Just aggressive. Full aggressive.
Yeah.
You're full on like, fuck you.
Dude, and I think this didn't play in my favor, but I was like, ma'am, I literally just talked to you on the other side of the turnstiles. Why the fuck would I hop the turnstiles if you're right there and I know you're right there? I was like, unless I thought I could. Unless I thought I was giving the okay. And I'm thinking, mind you, that they saw the booth lady do this and all of this thing. They couldn't give a fuck less. And then so she's like, okay, let me go ask the booth lady. And then so she goes to ask the booth lady, and then she goes, did you tell him he could? And she just shouts this across, like doesn't go to the past the turnstiles. She shouts across, did you tell him he could go over? And the booth lady's like shakes her head hard no. And I'm like, bitch, no, you went like this. You gave me a hand motion to go over.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't just hop like. I would have to be the dumbest fucking person in the world.
You would have to be so stupid to hop right in front of cops.
Right in front of cops that I've already addressed.
Talked to, yeah.
Yeah. And so they didn't want to hear it. They arrested me. They were like,
are you still trying to talk your way out of it, or?
No, I'm like pissed off. I was like, why the fuck am I being arrested? And I'm literally just talking shit to these cops the whole time. Yeah. Just like, I was like, yeah, like.
Are you high or drunk or anything, or you're just so
No, I'm
like,
just
you guys.
tired, dude.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's like 4:30 in the morning. I literally had worked from like 9 a.m. all the way and
then
hit a bunch of mics. Yeah. And so the lady, they arrest me, and then they bring me upstairs, and then like put me in the cop car, and I'm like, yo, I'm a grown man. You guys can't move the fucking seat up at all. Like I can't fit in this.
Too.
Yeah, I can't fit in this fucking car, dude. Like this is bullshit. And so I'm just talking shit to the cops the whole ride over there. I was like, I didn't say like any like all cops are bastards stuff.
Yeah.
I just like spoke to them like people. I was like, ma'am, I don't understand.
I love this dichotomy of switching from like, you guys are fucking idiots to, ma'am, listen.
Yeah, I was like, ma'am, how fucking dumb would I have to be for this to have, I was like, you're going to put me in the system over this? Like, I was like, and she was like a black lady too. So I was like, how does this not resonate with you on like, you're putting a young black man in the system over hopping a fucking turnstile? Like, and
did she buy it? Was she?
No. And I do remember she like, cops, I don't know if you've ever dealt with the cops, but
I've been arrested 8 times. I hate cops.
Yeah, okay, so then their face when you talk to them about shit, they could not give a fuck.
No, they don't give a shit.
There's
it just goes in one ear and out the other.
There's some kind of veil where they just like
their eyes like go gray,
glaze over, dude. Where they just like they're just like these like fucking robots that could not have any sense of nuance or like.
That's a real rich man poor man thing. Like like what do you have in common, rich man poor man? It's like a bit. I think Adam Carolla started it, but there's a few things like, you know what I mean. Not speaking to cops, I think, is like number 1 on that list.
Oh, okay.
If you're really wealthy or if you're like poor, you don't talk to cops.
Yeah, there's no reason I ever need to talk to. And so and so they arrest me, and the only reaction I did get out of her was like, I don't think you guys are bad people. I think I don't subscribe to like all cops are bastards or anything like that. I think you're just brainwashed. And then she was just like, whatever, dude. And like just kept driving. But I was like, that was the one thing where it's like,
got a reaction.
Yeah. I was like, they're just brainwashed. They just don't understand nuance or like, there's not everything's black and white. And like,
that's like the problem too, is like, and we've all seen it. You go down in the subway and you see like someone methed out or cracked out, and the cops will just walk by, and then you see how someone hop a turnstile and they're like, hey, get him.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like, all right, well,
where's your parameter for what is
your
actually important?
Yeah, man? Yeah. Like, but it's like they know the person hopping the turnstile is going to have to pay that ticket. If they the homeless person's not going to do shit.
So if anything, it's going to be more on them.
Yeah, it's going to be more of a financial burden on the police than it is. So they don't give a shit.
That's so crazy, dude.
Yeah. The person hopping the turnstile definitely has more disposable income than the person like who's just trying to get $20 together to get a rock. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Dude.
So like it's more financially incentive for them to go after the people that they're going to give a hard time to versus the people who actually need help. They're like, yeah, fuck those people.
Yeah, dude.
I could go on a whole diatribe. So what happens? You get arrested. You get driven down to the station.
Yeah.
Where do they release you? What happens?
So I ended up spending basically like probably 4 hours in the station where they like took my mugshot and everything, and then I get transferred to I don't even know, like somewhere in Brooklyn, like kind of like
so
Fort
not
Greene.
Rikers Island.
Not Rikers, dude.
Okay.
Just like Fort Greene, like a little like holding
Like a
thing
substation, yeah.
Yeah, and then spent fucking like 12 hours in there.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are they giving you any reasons why?
No, other than so I had a warrant for hopping the first time.
Yeah, and not paying the ticket,
which is my fault. I didn't pay the ticket, so I got a warrant, and so they.
So are they telling? Because there's no cash bail, so like almost everyone gets released.
Yeah.
So are they saying like? Because this is my experience, they won't give you any information. They'll just be like, you're here until you're not here.
Basically, yeah.
And they won't tell you what's going on. Like, if you could be like, am I being... Because once like the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th time I got arrested, I knew. So I'd be like, yo, am I being processed or am I being booked? Like, are you going to ROR me? Or because we have released on your own recognizance in Florida. Mm-hmm. Or am I going to stay here? Like, do I need to call someone to get bail together? And when you start talking in those terms... it registers and they're like, okay, yeah, we're just processing you now.
Oh, okay.
You know, it takes like 8 hours. But if you're just someone who's never been in trouble before and you're like, why am I still here? They're like, shut the fuck up.
Dude, literally, that's how it was. Whereas like, I was like, so is there any kind of, and they were kind of telling me like, basically like, this is a process. This is what's going to happen. You get moved here and then moved here. And then eventually you'll go see a lawyer and then they'll.
So did they just release you or they put you in front of like a public defender?
I had a public defender, but they basically just like, it ended up being like, you don't like, I didn't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
And it was just like time spent.
Yeah.
So
time served.
Yeah. So
time spent. Oh, they're so cute when they're never getting in trouble.
when they don't know. But it was crazy.
So they counted the 12 hours as your time served.
Yeah, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it's
it's not awesome, but it's like it saved you. What is the ticket? $116?
Yeah.
It saved you $234.
Yeah. But it did suck just because it was like.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah. It was kind of like, damn, like I can't contact anyone to tell them that I'm here. Like, I couldn't call anyone, and it was like in the morning, so I had to like.
So by the time you got transferred, it's like 8 in the morning. So you're sitting there until like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, roughly. It was. Yeah.
Did you miss work or anything, or did you have?
I happened to not work that day.
That's my biggest fear when I would get arrested. Was like normally I'd go on my benders like when I would have like a day or two off in a row. So if I ever got in trouble, I'd be like, oh, I better be out by tomorrow or I'm going to be fucked.
Yeah.
And sometimes you were and sometimes you weren't. I got lucky one time when I got my warrant arrest because I had gone to rehab and I had gotten sober on my own. I was living in a halfway house. Long story short, I had a warrant out for my arrest. Cops pulled us over for not wearing seatbelts. Obviously, they knew that I had the warrant. And as they're driving me to the station, I was like, listen, guys, like I've turned my entire life around on my own, like not court ordered, not for nothing. I did this by myself. Please, like just because they have all my property. I'm like, can you just please call my work on speakerphone so I can just tell them that I won't be there. I do not want to get fired. And so they did. They put the phone on speaker, let me call my work, let me call my mom, and then let me call the owner of the halfway house I was living at so he knew why I wasn't going to be a bed check.
Oh, okay. That's
and
cool.
then that started my 4-month journey to my incarceration. But everyone, because at the time I was on the up and up, so everyone was cool. My fucking halfway house owner was like, your bed will be here when you get out. Let us know. My work was like, your job is here when you get out. Just let us know. Yeah. And my mom was like, what are you calling me for?
Yeah.
She's a good mom.
She's a good mom.
So last story we got to tell, and then we got to get out of here. The wedding face plant.
Oh, dude.
How long ago was this?
This was, I was probably 23.
Okay.
Who's
getting married?
My friends from high school, or a girl that I knew from high school, from middle school to high school. She got married.
Getting married at 23. Look at her.
Yeah, it was like, I think maybe 24.
Still together?
Yeah, I think so.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Shout out.
Shout out Maddie All. But so went to their wedding, and it was kind of like the same like band geek like friend group.
Same friend group from high school.
Yeah. So, but like I hadn't seen most of those people. Like I had one friend that I still kept in contact with within that friend group. So I hadn't seen most of them like basically since high school.
Have you lost weight at this point, or are you still kind of the chubby kid?
No, I had lost.
I was going to say, because you probably hit a growth spurt too, like in high school. So you're probably like taller, thinner.
No, not in high school. I didn't lose the weight until I was like 22.
But
22.
when did you hit your growth spurt? When did you go from like 5'9" to the height you are now?
Oh, dude, probably.
So you were tall in high school.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because
so.
I hit mine like my senior year, so sometimes it's fun to like see people from middle school and they're like, "Jesus, you're a giant now." Because it's like, yeah, I'm 6'1". I was 9-ish until my senior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
And then
really?
I grew like 4 inches.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I probably like senior year for me too.
Okay. I was gonna say that's a big card to play. Like showing up like 3 inches taller and 20 pounds lighter. You're like, who wants it?
Yeah. But I went with my girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
And we go, and it was a good time. I was like, it was a good wedding. We were all having a good time, and then
just drinking, having fun. Yeah.
Just drinking, and then we were smoking weed, and it was fine. And
it's
then
back on
the weed, and dance circle. We're in the middle of dance circle, and then I used to do this thing called I called it like the dive worm, but it's basically like I go into a handstand and then I go down to the worm. Right? Yeah. And so I went to go do that, and I just fucking bit it, dude. Just face.
Did you really?
In front, like in the middle of like the shit, like it's a dance circle,
yeah.
like literally like someone just got done break dancing. And I was like, oh, it's my turn, dude. I'm gonna go in this circle and fuck it up. And then I go and I just boom, dude, just biff it, dude. Just my chin's just like bleeding everywhere.
Oh
and
my god, did they freak out?
Yeah, well, like I was like so fucked up that I was like, oh, that was funny, dude. Like. And they were like,
"There's just blood rushing."
Yeah, just blood, and it was funny. One of my like friends from high school, his name's Dalton Fromm. He was like the mega jock, right?
Yeah.
Like just like big as fuck. He like looked at that and he was like, "You're not gonna need stitches. You'll be good." He was like, "You'll be good. I've seen this before, dude." Like, he's like, "And if you do, maybe 1 or 2, you'll be fine."
Yeah, you're good. Did you end up leaving to go to the hospital, or were you like, "I'm good"?
No, I just put a paper towel on my face for a while.
We're partying, baby.
And then it ended up being fine. And then and then
just in front of everybody,
dude, in front of everyone.
They have to still talk.
And
about
it was
that.
it was crazy because it was like I didn't know most of the people at the wedding, so it was like this weird like that's the guy that did that. And then after the wedding, we go to this like casino where like it's like in Iowa, so like everyone stayed at this like casino hotel or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we go to this we go up to our room, and there's like this really drunk dude and like 2 people from the wedding, obviously, that I didn't really see. And then the like drunk dad was just like, "Hey, how's your fucking face?" and then they were like, and then the daughter and son were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, he's so drunk." And and then the elevator door closes, dude. And it's just, "How's your fucking face?"
How's your fucking face?
Dude, it was so bad and I literally could not stop laughing about it. I was like,
that's hilarious.
That's the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. Just like some drunk dude being like, "I saw what you did, and I'm obviously fucked up too. I didn't faceplant though. You did, dude.
You faceplanted in the middle of a wedding."
In the middle, dude. Weird thing with that night too. We also got a cat that night.
Really?
There was a cat outside the casino. So my girlfriend at the time was 20, so she couldn't go into like the casino and everything. Yeah. And so we just like hung outside the casino. We're hanging out, and this fucking cat just comes up like hanging out with us. And then we ended up like taking that cat that night.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So you got a cat out of it.
We got a cat out of it. His
yeah.
name is Cass after casino.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
These creatives, you guys are so fucking.
We do it, dude.
You know. Dude, this was fun. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, hell yeah. This is cool as fuck.
Plug everything one more time. Social media, that whole thing.
Lovely Comedy, Love Lee Comedy on Instagram. That's also my Venmo in case you guys want to do that. And then that's
the podcast.
The Lovely Podcast, also lovely. That's pretty much it, man. I do comedy. I have shows, but I don't have them booked super far out. So I'm still new at this. All right.
Dude, thank you again so much for coming on.
Yeah,
man.
Fuck
This was a ton of fun.
Sick, dude.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening at Brennan T. Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Check out the one-man show, Eggs Drinking Buddy, a comic's look at life, near-death, recovery, and redemption. And we will talk to you all next week.
Sick.